All right, so you've done it. All the hard work, the data collection, the analysis, you've found your answers. But you're not quite at the finish line. How do you take all of that amazing effort and turn it into a research report that actually makes a difference? Well, let's dive in.
This is the question, right? The one every researcher has to answer. And the answer is the most critical step of all, writing the report. This isn't just some final task to check off a list. Nope. This is the moment your findings get to step out into the light and meet the rest of the world.
So here's our game plan. We're going to build this thing from the ground up. First, we'll talk about why your report is basically a bridge to your audience. Then we'll get into its three main jobs: how to pick the right type of report, the basic structure they all share, and finally, how to give it a quality check to make sure it's ready to go. Let's start with the big picture, the fundamental purpose. I want you to think of your report not as a document, but as a bridge. It's the structure that you, the researcher, build to connect everything you've discovered to the mind of your reader. So what is it, really? At its heart, a research report is the official way you share your discoveries. It's the process that takes all your hard work from being private knowledge and turns it into public information. Because without it, even the most mind-blowing research just stays locked away on your computer, totally invisible. And this is absolutely crucial. Your entire project, all those months, maybe even years of work, is ultimately going to be judged by this one single document. If you have amazing findings but you present them poorly, well, they can be misunderstood or just dismissed. Clarity isn't just a nice to have, it's literally everything. Okay, so if the report is a bridge, what's it actually designed to do? Well, every single research report, it doesn't matter what the topic is, has three fundamental jobs it needs to accomplish. First, and most obviously, it transmits knowledge. It shares what you've found with a specific audience. Second, it contributes those findings to the bigger conversation, to the whole body of scientific knowledge. You're adding a new piece to this giant puzzle. And third, if you do it really well, it inspires other people to ask new questions and start their own research. It creates this amazing cycle of discovery. But underpinning all three of those functions is one golden rule, a total non-negotiable: honesty. Your report has to be an accurate, truthful story of what you did and what you found, even if the results weren't what you expected. This commitment to accuracy is the bedrock of all science.
So, how do you get that knowledge across your bridge effectively? Well, it starts by picking the right vehicle for the job. You see, not all reports are created equal. The one you choose depends entirely on your destination and who your passengers are. In other words, your purpose and your audience. And this right here is your starting line. Before you write a single sentence, you have to stop and ask, who is this for? Is it for other academics in my field? A client who paid for the research? Or maybe it's for your professor and an academic committee. The answer to that question changes everything: the format, the tone, the whole shebang. Now, this table breaks down the big three beautifully. For a journal article, your audience is other experts, so you need to be brief, sharp, and focused on theory. For commissioned research, you're talking to a client. They need practical, actionable solutions to a problem. And then there's the thesis or dissertation. That's for an academic committee, and its main goal is to be incredibly comprehensive to prove you know your stuff. Three totally different audiences, three totally different kinds of reports. And this comparison really drives the point home. When you're writing for a journal, you have to economize. You're fighting for page space and for your readers' limited time, so every word counts. But with a thesis, it's the exact opposite. It is often the longest, most detailed report you'll ever write, because the whole point is to show everything, every single step of your process and your thinking. Okay, so you've picked your report type. Now it's time to actually build the thing. And while a journal article and a thesis might look very different on the surface, they actually share the same universal building blocks, these technical rules that make sure your report is credible, professional, and easy to follow. Think of these as the nuts and bolts that hold your bridge together. Clean grammar and proper formatting, that's not just about looking good. It's about making sure your reader doesn't get distracted from your message. But the really critical piece here is that last one, replication. You have to provide enough detail so that another researcher could, theoretically, repeat your study. That transparency is how science self-corrects and builds on itself. It's the ultimate cornerstone. All right, for this last section, let's switch hats. We're no longer the writer, we're the evaluator. Whether you're proofreading your own draft or reading someone else's work, there are three absolutely critical questions you need to ask to figure out if a research report is any good. Question 1.
Is the foundation solid? A good report is built on a sharp, clear research problem. If you're reading and you can't immediately tell what question the research is trying to answer, that's a huge red flag. Everything else depends on this. Question 2. Is it transparent? A great report doesn't hide anything about its methods. It lays out the how the data was collected, how it was analyzed, with enough clarity that the work can be checked and verified. This is the scientific standard of proof. And third, the final, most important check. Does it all add up? Do the conclusions and the interpretations actually follow from the data that was presented? A report completely fails if it makes claims that reach beyond what the evidence can actually support. That bridge between data and conclusion has to be rock solid. So as you get ready to write, try not to think of it as just that last boring step. See it as your chance to be a storyteller. You're sharing the story of your discovery. And really, the only question left is, what amazing story will your next report tell?